One, two, three, funk it.
Hey internet companions, welcome back. I'm going to be showing you what I eat in a week as a college student. I do live at home with my family and I'm also Filipino, so my meals tend to be a lot more big than what the average college student living on campus would eat. But still, I hope you find some cool tips in the video to inspire your next meal. And let's get started with the first meal. I made a very fancy charcuterie type plate for my breakfast or brunch this Sunday. I just have some blackberries over here, a croissant, milk cheddar cheese, and some smoked salmon. Gusto mo to? Masarap ba? Maganda ba?
Ganda!
Magkano ba to?
May buy $1.
And I have my little, it was an iced coffee. It's an iced peppermint mocha coffee, but my dad was trying out our new blender and it ended up being an iced cappuccino type thing. So I'm really excited. It's really tasty and I love anything mint. For late lunch or early dinner, my mom made pho. One thing I really love about my mom's cooking is that she tries to integrate all kinds of cultures into what we eat. Growing up, my mom would learn recipes from her friends from different cultures, and she would really take the time to understand the different cultural ingredients and really respect the labor of love that goes into every meal. For brunch, I made a tomato pesto mozzarella cheese sandwich, and all I did was slice some tomatoes, get 2 slices of bread. It can be any kind of bread. I used white bread, but sourdough sounds delicious as well. On both slices, I spread a thin layer of basil pesto, and I didn't have any fancy mozzarella cheese balls, but I did have a Kraft mozzarella string cheese, which worked just fine for the sandwich. Side note, if you bite straight into your string cheese instead of pulling the strings apart, are you okay? Once I got the sandwich all assembled, I just placed some butter on the pan and grilled the sandwich until it reached a crispy, golden brown exterior crust. Lately, my brother has become a big steak enthusiast. He is so passionate on the science of beef and steaks and how certain temperatures provide certain tastes. Anyways, for dinner, he barbecued some Korean bulgogi beef. He marinated some steak slices overnight with some Korean barbecue sauce, and I prepared the side dishes to go with the barbecue. As a family, we love eating Korean barbecue with lettuce wraps, and honestly, it makes me feel 10 times more healthier while eating Korean barbecue. I also prepared kimchi that we got as a side dish from Costco, and I must say my brother did an incredible job on making the Korean barbecue, because that meal all together with the side dishes, the lettuce, the kimchi, the rice, all together it was just a bomb meal. That's a lot of avocado. Since it was Tuesday, my family decided to get some tacos for Taco Tuesday. I know, typical, but these tacos are so good. You happy? I'm gonna make some goreng instant noodles. I love making any kind of instant noodle 10 times more fancier, and indomie is the perfect base to get started with. So I prepared the noodles as I normally would, and I also prepared some mung beans and mushrooms by washing them. And once the noodles are cooked, I place them onto the side. Then I saute the sprouts and mushrooms in the pan with the packaged sauces that the indomie came with. Then I add the noodles into the pan to distribute the flavors evenly from the mushrooms to the sauce. And finally, I chop up some green onion and sprinkle that all over the noodles, and ta-da! You have yourself a quick and easy way to elevate your next meal.
Yeah. 창문 내리고서 손을 높이 들어 새빛 언어연별 여름 노래 틀어 I hit the low zone.
One of my all-time favorite movies has to be Julie and Julia. I remember watching that movie when I was 10 and feeling so empowered. Here we have two incredible women pursuing their passions and their dreams with all odds stacked against them. Look at that yellow stuff. I particularly fell in love with the bruschetta scene, and it lives in my head rent-free. And it was in this moment that Julie realized that she should start a blog. So for this meal, I decided to make bruschetta. I sliced the bread that I got from the market, and you can literally get these rolls for 3 pieces for $1 at your local supermarket. I placed some olive oil in it and baked them until they had a nice golden brown crust. I cut little slits in my cherry tomatoes because once I pour the boiling hot water over them, the skin will separate subtly and leave the tomatoes super soft yet firm enough to not feel like a jam. After a minute of being in hot water, I take the tomatoes out and place them in a bowl with some onions and cilantro that I had chopped up. For the sauce that really holds all the flavors together, I used a teaspoon or more of basil pesto and added a dash of balsamic vinegar to really make the flavor of the tomato pop. I added some salt and pepper for seasoning, and I spread the tomatoes over the bread slices evenly, and voila! You got yourself a very delicious, fresh, and bright bruschetta. So today we'll be making some vegetarian tofu sisig, and it's gonna be my first time ever making it because I've just been a meatitarian my whole life and have never ever really tried sisig without pork. It's just a really interesting / weird concept for me to think about sisig without pork because that's literally the basis of the dish. But I saw this recipe on TikTok and it looked very simple, and I wanted to try it out and to vouch for myself if it passes the Filipino rating scale, if such a thing exists. This recipe was actually really easy to follow. All I had to do was cut a block of tofu into tiny bite-sized cubes, and this part is optional, but I decided to sprinkle a little bit of cornstarch over the tofu to make it crispier and resemble the texture of fried pork. I then fried the tofu, trying my best to not let the frying hot oil burn me, and once the tofu was all fried, I set it aside and started to chop up the vegetables, and I just chopped up 1 Thai chili, a jalapeno pepper. The recipe said a green Thai chili, but I didn't have any, so I just used a jalapeno, and a 1/4 of a red bell pepper. I also prepared onions and garlics as aromatics for the dish, and I put a little bit of butter in another pan, and I got that to heat up and started to saute the onions and garlic until it got nice and fragrant. Then I added the rest of the ingredients, and to really add the flavor of sisig and give it that signature sisig glazed look, I made a sauce, and in that sauce all you need is like a tablespoon of mayo, some soy sauce, and half a lemon. I pour that over the tofu sisig, and bam! The sisig was so good that even my Pinoy dad approved.
It tastes like sisig, but crunchier. It's like beefier. And there's a bit of a sting because of the chili pepper. I need a beer.
The last meal I'll be sharing for this week is homemade chili. This recipe was actually my brother's idea, and I just followed along his instructions, so I can't really give good step-by-step instructions of how we made it, but I did prepare the canned tomato sauce, tomato paste, and clean the kidney beans and corn to put in the chili. My brother took care of the spices and browning of the ground beef so it can get a really nice char before we add in the liquids and give the chili a really hearty taste. By the time the chili was over, it was just so delicious that our family finished it in less than a day. I think chili is a really great filling soul food that brings so much warmth and joy to any meal.
우리 감싸지 네 머리로 넘겨 바닷바람에